good, y'all? It's Mikey T, the movie star. I'm back with another exclusive. That's right. Today, we're going to talk about Young Buck. Today, we're going to address Young Buck when he first left G Unit. A lot of you guys will remember when Buck first left G Unit, he did a couple shows. He did a couple shows where he started saying FG Unit, you know what I mean? And he got a really big reaction out of the crowd. He got a really big reaction out of a lot of the blog sites. A lot of people used to say, diss 50 Cent and that'll be the best promotion that you ever got in your career. But guys, when Young Buck first went on his tirade and went against G Unit, he did make a connection with one of 50 Cent's biggest enemies, Bang'em Smurf. That's right, at this point, Bang'em Smurf actually was recording his second project at the time, and we're going to get into the story about how Bang'em Smurf and Young Buck made a connection out of the beef with 50 Cent, and how these two former G-Unit artists were going to come together for a collaboration. That's the exclusive that I've got for you guys today. It's your boy, Mikey T, the movie star. I'm back, you know what I mean? We're doing this like an everyday thing. I want to give a major shout out to Mona Lisa Global on this shirt today, guys. We got Nip, the GOAT, legendary Nipsey Hussle, put on a shirt. Mona Lisa Global, dope ass company. Major shout out to you guys. I appreciate the gear. Y'all probably seen me on a live a few nights ago. I was wearing an ARAB shirt that they had. Man, just a dope company. But before we get into the exclusive today, I want everyone to go and log on to this website, Non-Stop Connections. This is actually for all of the inmates locked up. And I know there's a lot of people out there watching the channel who have friends and family that are locked up. So we are appealing to you guys. If you have a loved one that is serving time in federal or state prison or even in a county jail, then you know how bad that they want to hear from the ladies. You know how bad that they want to have a female to actually correspond with and build something to look forward to upon their prison release. Or maybe just have a female to pass the time with. You need to go to Non-Stop Connections.com, you guys, and see how they are making the bid for the men all across the United States that much easier. They've also got an accompanying magazine, Ooey Magazine. It really works hand in hand, you guys, because this is a magazine that's actually available inside of the prisons, and this is a magazine that actually demonstrates the moves that people that are locked up can make upon their release to actually adjust to society. And that's why I'm messing with Non-Stop Connections.com and Ooey Magazine, because they're out here putting a positive message, you guys. It's like a social media website. It's basically like a social media website for females out there to actually get in contact, and they have all the different states. It's coming up, guys, so log on nonstopconnections.com. But let's get into the exclusive for the day. That's right, everyone's tuned in. You guys want to hear about Young Buck actually making a connection with 50 Cent's biggest enemy. It was crazy, you guys, because I was kind of right in the middle of it. I was right in the middle of it all, because when I first had gone out to Trinidad, when I first went to Trinidad, Smurf and I filmed a series of videos, as I told you all. I went out there with my video camera that had like 30 hours. I bought this HD joint that would record 33 hours worth of footage, and Smurf and I must have recorded upwards of 20 hours worth of footage between him and Domination and his artists at the time, Gazzy Gates and Nemesis. I even met the R&B crooner Orlando Octave out there. You know what I mean? It was just generally a dope experience. So in one of these blogs that I actually filmed with Smurf, he actually made reference to Young Buck, his relationship with Young Buck, where he actually gave Buck a watch. He gave him a watch that was worth $30,000. And that's in Bang'em Smurf's words. Bang'em Smurf said that he gave Young Buck a watch. He let him hold on to a watch that was worth $30,000. And apparently this was at the time right when Smurf got sent home. So Smurf said in the interview that Buck never gave him back the watch. Buck never gave him back the watch. And he was feeling a kind of a way about it. But he said, yo, Buck, just holla at me. We can make it right. He actually said this. He wasn't trying to get real violent about the situation, even though it was a $30,000 watch. And I remember when I went to Trinity that first time, and Smurf had got some of his jewelry back. He still had the Jesus piece. He had a big long chain with the Jesus piece that he actually gave to Domination when we were there. So that's a moment that I remember. So anyways, we released this blog, and Young Buck, who had just quit G Unit at the time, like I was saying a little bit earlier. But let's give a little bit of backstory because Young Buck got kicked out of G Unit when he decided to stay on tour with Rich Kid. Throw some D's. Is that his name? Rich Kid. Throw some D's on him. Rich Boy, excuse me. He decided to stay on tour in the South. I'm not sure if it was an issue of Buck actually being on probation or something like that, but he actually decided to stay on the tour in the South rather than go on the European tour with G Unit, which was just kind of crazy. I'm not sure if it was a matter of probation or whatever, and that's really what started the disconnect with Young Buck and G Unit because 50 Cent was finishing the Terminate on Sight album while he was on tour, I believe. So Buck had only recorded about 5 joints for the album that were going to be used. So Buck only appeared on half of the album, and that's why 50 took him out as the original G Unit member and made it as a feature. And he went back to the original G Unit of Banks, Yayo, and 50. That is the backstory behind that. So Buck was actually touring. Buck was actually, actively touring, so he was in front of all these crowds, and he had an opportunity to say FG Unit to where it would make a presence. He would have an impact with it. You know what I mean? He was actively touring at this point, so it made a big impact when he said FG Unit. So, as he was saying FG Unit, he actually came out with this song. I believe it's called Steroids, where he mentioned Bang'em Smurf. He said, respect to Smurf, but I don't owe you. He said, respect to Smurf, but I don't owe you. He told Smurf to stick. He told Smurf to actually stick to dissing 50. He told Smurf to actually stick to letting the world know that 50 is stunting, but I don't owe you nothing. That's actually what Young Buck said in regard to the whole situation. Excuse me, guys. So Young Buck and Smurf at this point, they could have went into a whole little spat and got into a little beef between each other. But Smurf and I spoke and we said, yo, let's reach out to Young Buck. Let's reach out to Young Buck on Twitter because it was Twitter back then that was mad popular. So Smurf and Buck actually got in contact on Twitter, you guys. That's right. Young Buck was actually going to feature on Bang'em Smurf's second mixtape. Smurf had released Blacklisted Part 1, and we were hard at work on Blacklisted 2, you guys. We were reaching out to a lot of the different guys from the camp. Like, we had Torch in association to be on the mixtape. Chinks Drugs was actually going to be on the mixtape with Smurf. And then we were actually going to have, I wanted DJ Sam Sneak. I had spoke to DJ Sam Sneak about hosting Bang'em Smurf's project Blacklisted 2. You know what I mean? I'd spoke with him about it. He gave me confirmation that he would do it. We sent several emails back and forth with Sam Sneak. You know what I mean? But this G Unit Young Buck collaboration was really gonna be what brought that mixtape to life, because at that time, Young Buck was circling the idea of working with Rick Ross. You know what I mean? So we wanted to get Buck on Smurf's upcoming project, and Buck actually agreed to it. Young Buck actually agreed to jump on Bang'em Smurf's next project. But as everyone saw, within a few years, Buck actually went to jail, and then after Buck got home from jail, he actually re-teamed up with 50. And he didn't team up with Ross. If he would have teamed up with Ross, it would have been really easy for us to get that feature. You know what I mean? It would have been easy. It would have been cake. But he went to jail. He caught some charges. I believe, like I said, he was on probation. So that whole thing where he stayed in the South rather than going overseas, it might have been a probation issue. But, 50 could have taken care of that. So Buck went to jail. And then when he came out of jail, 50 and him actually reconnected and they reformed G Unit. Kid was brought into G Unit. G Unit started touring again. You know what I mean? They started releasing projects. So the whole idea of, Buck working with Ross or Buck working with Smurf was really just thrown out the window, you guys. That's the exclusive I wanted to tell you all about today. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of things y'all don't know. A lot of things that were going to happen that should have happened, a lot of things that really would have made a big impact on the industry. That Blacklisted Part 2 with Bangum Smurf was going to be a movie. We had Torch talking about being on it. We had Chinks Drugs going to be on it. You know what I mean? Young Buck would have really brought it off. You know what I mean? Brought it all together. But before we get out of here, guys, everyone that's out there that has a loved one, a friend, family member that's actually incarcerated right now, you know, writing back and forth with a pen pal is something that helps pass the time. And that's why I've done this partnership with Non-Stop Connections. They've also got an accompanying magazine, Ooh Magazine. It really works hand in hand. I'm going to put up a logo for the site right now. I want you all to log on and check it out. And welcome to Non-Stop Connections, the perfect place to meet not so perfect people with good hearts. Non-Stop Connections is a pen pal correspondence service that helps incarcerated men find positive people and new friends for communication while serving their debt to society. We are also actively involved in helping inmates find employment, positive programming, and housing when available in their area upon their release. It's a positive movement, you guys. Like I said, Non-Stop Connections and Ooh Magazine, it really works hand in hand because the magazine shows encouraging stories about inmates who have been in jail prior to this and who have gone out and achieved success. You know what I mean? Even though they've got charges on them, you know what I mean? They've gone out and they've readjusted to society positively. I appreciate everyone for tapping in with me today. It's your boy Mikey T, the movie star. Anybody that wants to follow me on the gram, I want you to do that. I'm gonna follow you right back, Mikey T _ the movie star. If you want to jump on my channel to do an exclusive interview, or if you want to promote your project, we can do anything, guys. This is the channel for the people. Ab said it. I'm the voice of the voiceless. Salute to everyone watching this.